Yo, how's it going? Yo, Plobby 3D. Yo, thanks for that tier 1. I greatly appreciate it. Yo, how's it going? Late stream? Yeah, I want to start streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays around potentially this time as well. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Especially for the random out of nowhere stream. But yeah, from now on, I want to start doing more streams. Yo, how's it going? Dude, I caught you last time for the first time and learned a lot, and it's kind of stuff that's a bit harder to find on YouTube, like process industry standard. Yeah, I'm glad you like the content. I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of people putting stuff on YouTube don't actually work in the industry, so it can be a bit incorrect sometimes. Not saying I have all the answers, but yeah. Increase tool your beloved? Yeah. No one really taught me the crease tool. It's just what I started using. I don't know if it was popular before or, I mean, no one ever showed me it. So I'm kind of curious if a lot of people started using creasing because of me or not. Is there any my content creators that I should actively avoid for learning 3D workflows? Avoid? No, I don't think so. I think the main issue is, let's just say, you know, a lot of people might look at, I don't know, like a Blender community, a Blender content creator, but like they have never worked in a studio environment before. Stuff like that I think is more the issue than Maya, if that makes sense. Because like anyone can make a tutorial at this point now. It's not, the barrier to entry for doing this stuff is very low. Oh God, why is this so big? Blender tutorials are ridiculously hit or miss. Yeah, I feel that. I think that I watched some really bad Blender tutorials, like not to the point at all. There was one, I remember there's one tutorial I watched where they went on for like, I followed for like 15 minutes and then in the end they did something wrong anyway, which made the entire tutorial like invalid. And I was like, oh my God, why did I just watch this? But yeah, there's some great tutorials out there for sure. But there's some hit and miss for sure. Yo, Crimson, how's it going, man? I think it's also like, I don't know. Oh, whoops. They'll spend forever doing something which can be done in like 2 buttons. I'm just like, oh my god, why did we do it such a long, tedious way? Craziest thing is oftentimes the best Blender tools, people have like 8K followers and they're huge people doing, yeah. I mean, it depends. The Boolean workflow is good for if you need that sort of workflow. I think my main kind of issue is like, for example, they might, you know, use the Boolean workflow and say like, this is how we do it in movies, which is incorrect. Like it's that sort of stuff which is more my issue. But yeah, how you doing, Crimson? Basically spreading misinformation. I mean, they just themselves don't know it, right? I don't necessarily fault them for it, but I think it's more my issue if people speak about the industry when they've never been in it. It's that sort of stuff which I think is more of an issue. I've been trying to learn Blender and I feel it was miss why I have to do something, and the only, yeah, okay, I get, this is a prime example. Like I followed a tutorial and the guy straight up said, you know, you need to use this node. It was like a procedural texturing sort of thing. And the guy straight up goes, I don't know what this node does, but you need it. And I'm like, cool. So when I follow the tutorial and I don't get the same result that they did, I can't even troubleshoot it because I don't know what the node is. So like, it's that sort of stuff where I'm just like, oh God. I think it's better to, like if I wanted to learn Blender specific stuff, like I'd rather just buy like Jama's Blender tutorials. I'd rather pay for it and know I'm getting like good quality instead of free. But free is good, you know. If people don't want to pay for that sort of stuff, they don't have to, for sure. Yo, the penniless Chevelle, how's it going? They miss why you have to do something. Yeah, that's a pretty important part. Working on some contract work? Nice. I remember looking at a post on ArtStation about using n-gons in a workflow and you were going off on one in the comments giving good advice. Oh, what? I remember looking at a post on ArtStation about using n-gons in a workflow and you were going off on one in the comments giving good advice. I was giving the good advice or they were giving good advice? I mean, n-gons are fine for games and concept, just not VFX. Blender Bob? I remember I had a little bit of issue with that guy, I think. Yes, that name sounds familiar, I think. I remember my issue with him. That guy was constantly going on about how Blender's better than Maya and here's why. And he just didn't really prove it. I think that's my only issue with that guy. He just like was really, really heavily leaning into the Blender crowd that wanted not justification, validation. I think that was my main issue. But you know, got to play that game. I need to start using Blender. So, well, I used to use Blender, but it just doesn't really suit what I want at the moment. When I do concept, I use Blender. N-gons are okay for high poly, but not recommended for low poly. Oh yeah, for sure. Off on one is UK saying you were just pushing good advice. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I remember he did a video on saying how Blender's grouping is way better than Maya, and that's just objectively wrong. through the machine tools add-on, I'm just like, oh my god, it's not. Machine tools add-on is definitely a good step in the right direction, but it's not the same. You hate the way you move the pivots in Blender? I don't mind it. You get used to it though. I don't know. I think Blender is great for being loose and Maya is better for precision. That's how I feel about it. God, it's kind of weird going from working remote. There's a very subtle delay in Maya, obviously because we're remoting into our work machines, right? To working on my own personal Maya, there's a very it's faster, and I feel awkward using it now because I'm used to the delay. Just get rid of this for now. I'm not using anything for Blender but sub-D modeling. Other than that, everything seems to be very random for me, like texturing, rendering, etc. But for modeling, I do not know if it will be as effective in 3ds Max. I think, yeah, Blender's got a great... Blender's modeling is objectively better than Maya's. I 100% agree with that. But Maya is better organization. Excuse me. That's the way I see it, pretty much. You will... I mean, Blender's definitely better to model with. But organizing in Blender is a pain in the ass. Oh shit. That was a terrible idea. Why did I do that? 3D cursor? I'm not the biggest fan of the 3D cursor. I'd rather just Maya in that instead of using 3D cursor. I know some people do obviously like it though. What is meant to be inside of here? It's generic mech, I guess. You don't like the Blender Bros group who promote plugins, but the plugins themselves are good to play with. Blender Bros. What is Blender Bros? You hate the way you move pivots in Blender? Yeah, I know, right? It's just I do like in Maya being able to just press D and then snap the pivot wherever I want without having to use the cursor. Like that sort of stuff. Or like, you know, being able to like reset the pivot or center the pivot. Like they're so in your face about what? Maybe I'll steal this thing here. Well, I actually, no, now you mention it, I do see them advertising on Facebook all the fucking time. Like, they pop up constantly. I don't know anything about them, though. I know they just have, like, a robot or something on their ads. But that's it. Don't even... Alright, no worries. I don't know. I don't know all these content creators. Max is very good as well, but sadly has many haters. Really? I didn't think anyone hated Max. From my point of view, Max is better software than Maya. Only thing Maya does better is animation, I guess. Max is underrated as hell. I thought Max was well respected. You're a big fan of 3D cursor though? Like, to have a mesh snap to a center of a tire was something I missed? I don't know, like if say hypothetically we're going to build a tire, what I would probably do is, imagine this is our tire. I would probably just create a locator and then slap the locator to the center of the thing, and now I always have that to deal with. So if I never wanted anything to go to the center, over here we could just, snap, well, press the wrong button, snap it to the locator. I like the idea of Max modifier stack. I mean, I guess one of my favorite things about Blender is the deformer stack for sure is very good in Blender. You did light. Yo, Frederick, how's it going, man? Where are you working these days? You've never heard of a locator before? Oh yeah, locators are great. All locator is just an empty null. So all a locator is a parent, is an empty in Blender. So to do the fake grouping in Blender, this is what you do, right? You parent your geo under locators, and this is how you emulate grouping in Blender. But it's annoying having the locators. I mean, having the nulls constantly visible, right? But yeah, if you ever need locators, you just put locators everywhere. Like in another Maya. You're in Melbourne? Holy shit. How's Melbourne going? You have to have groups in Blender? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like say for example, military, this should do. Like when I'm working on this kit bash stuff, you'll see the planes all have locators above them, so I can mirror from left to right. Yeah, say for example, I create a cube over here, I can just snap it to the locator, work on it here, and then, whenever I'm done, I can just snap the center pivot to the locator and then go -1, and here we go. Yeah, locators are very handy. Anytime I'm doing anything radial, like, we're building an engine or anything like that, find the center point, snap a locator there, and just leave the locator. Same work, different city. That's fair. But you're living in Australia, and Australia is pretty cool. When it comes to procedural modeling, Max's modifier stack is huge. I'd probably rather just learn Houdini at this point if I had to learn procedural modeling. Use Max for work, I feel like it's clunky than Maya. That's fair. If you like the modifier stack in Max, all the other stuff looks a bit boring to you. It's definitely a personal preference, but I think Maya is more fun to look at for 12 hours. That's fair. I don't understand why people think Maya looks bad as a software. Like, I don't understand visually what the problem is with Maya. At work, do you have turntables in Houdini? Yeah, all studios are moving to Houdini these days for USD. So Houdini is definitely the new like main pipeline tool for sure. How would you compare Blender with Maya? Blender's modeling is better than Maya for sure with add-ons. 100 with add-ons. 100% Blender is better than Maya. But Maya is more organized, and when it comes to creating assets for film, organization is the most important part. There's no point of being fast in Blender if you have to spend all the time making up for the lack of organization. What am I going to do here? I think people think Blender looks better due to the cavity bevel. Oh yeah, I mean that stuff does look pretty cool. It does cheat what it actually looks like, but yeah, I agree. Do you have any projects in mind next? Oh, I'm not even remotely close to finishing this one yet. We still have to finish. The cockpit needs to be finished. The exterior needs to be finished. Oh, I closed my Maya. How much time per day it takes you to complete one model from start to finish? Time per day. Do you mean like how many hours? I got no idea how many hours it would take. I mean, we think in days in VFX. But yeah, depends entirely on whatever we're doing. There's no easy answer for that question. But yeah, I'm working on all the segments in different files just because the thing is too heavy these days. The plane is too heavy. Okay, let's get rid of cockpit. I can go. Wait, did I not? I thought I organized this file. Oh, I guess I didn't save it. That's annoying. In Canada, it's 22.50. What? Is there any industry standard plugins for Max? I have no idea about Max. Still Max? Yeah, studios use Max for sure, especially environment teams. Environment teams have a lot of Max workflows. Scanline uses Max, I know. Working like packages? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have everything separate so I can essentially emulate work environment. If it's so heavy, how's it gonna fly? Yeah. Moving to Houdini slowly? That's fair. How big does a file generally get before you start separating it? It is Starship Interior. That was my first time realizing that scenes can get heavy. Just depends. Depends on whenever I'm getting sick of it. How can you use Maya for free for learning? I don't know. Is there educational licenses out there? Oh, you're talking about time. Nah, it's $7.50 here in Vancouver. You want to show me what you've been working on? Chuck it in the Discord for sure. You changed your blender to look like Maya. Sick. Yo, if I miss any messages, it's not intentional. I have there's two separate chats because obviously half of you are Twitch, the other half are YouTube. What advice would you have for getting better at resolving concept details? As in, I'd say get good at kit bashing. I honestly, kit bashing is usually the way of resolving a lot of ambiguous design stuff. Do I have any projects in mind next? Oh, this one's going to last a while. We still need a texture and look dev this thing. I still have a long time to finish the model still. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with booleans. As long as you clean up the booleans, there's nothing wrong with booleans. You know, there's nothing wrong with n-gons based on whatever you need to do with them. Like, you should see my concept meshes. They are super fucked up. But they work for what I need to do. I have to make a macross hanger? Probably not. I've got other things to do. On the subject of resolving things you don't know, that's essentially kind of what I'm doing at the moment, right? There's meant to be like implied detail inside of the thing, but no one's really going to see what it is, and it's going to be glancing angles. So I'm just duplicating other geo, putting it inside, and like these glancing angles will probably be enough to make this look cool. That's essentially the idea of how you resolve stuff you don't know. You kit bash stuff without overthinking it. Macross Plus, yeah, it's so good. They're going to make a. Are they still making the Macross or the Robotech movie? They need to do that. I need some detail. Let's find something. Whatever this is, that would work. That'll work. You'd be surprised what you can get away with. Yeah, at a casual glancing angle with reflections of glass and stuff on top of it, that will be good enough. How long have I been working on this project? It's always hard to answer this question just because it's very... I worked really off and on for it. Like, like I'll stop touching it for like 4 months and then come back to it for a few months, and then it's just essentially that over and over. So it's hard to give like an accurate representation of how long this actually took to do. But if I was to start this at work right now, we would probably get, I don't know, 30 days to do it maybe. That's kind of cool. I just want some degree of like height change. It should be fine. Yeah, well, how's it going? All right, let me look at try again. In a recent video, you said you did tricking. Yeah, I do tricking. How long have you been practicing it? I used to do free running for a few years, but I had to quit since I went to college. Want to get back into it? Yeah, I do tricking. I only started about a year ago, though. I started a year ago. Unfortunately, broke my ankle in the first 9 months, which kind of got in the way of my training. But yeah, it's been about a year. Yeah, we can look at something I did. This was just before Christmas. But yeah, I got into tricking about a year ago. Tricking is good fun. But yeah, I go to a parkour gym, so I know a lot of parkour people. The mind control plane was dope. Yeah, it's pretty cool. How much of the current cockpit is kit bashed versus bespoke modeling? How much of the cockpit do you think is kit bashed? Is my real question. Well, let's turn this around. How much of this cockpit do you think I modeled bespoke, and how much do you think is actually kit bashed, or at least coming from kit bash? Last trick you learned was cork. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to starting cork yet. I was obsessed with mostly perfecting B-twist and gainer and stuff like that. How would you UV the small add-on pieces? Just UV the same as everything else. 30 days with soup notes? Yeah. Not saying 30 days is how long it should take. It's just in VFX we rarely get a long time to do stuff. Am I making this for any film? Nah, this is just for fun. Let's see. Is there any way to add primitive on certain objects in Maya, like in Blender and Max? Because every time you are adding a primitive, always world origin. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't take 2 seconds to just snap it over here like that. That doesn't really bother me. Your biggest enemy was basic backflip? I fucking understand it. I fucking hate backflip. I'm completely fine doing anything else. It's just standard backflip. Like I can do gainer non-stop so easily, but backflip, I'm fucking terrified. Because I've had so many issues where like, You know, I'll just be repping backflip, no problem. I'll do like 30 of them in a row. And then for some reason, I'll start doing the flip, and then I'll just hesitate for no reason out of nowhere, and then like neck myself, and I'm like, but why? Why did my body just give up? Like, I felt completely fine, but the body just bailed. You had some coccyx pain before getting a Herman Miller chair? Oh yeah, Herman Miller is really great. How long do you think someone will last in that very aesthetically pleasing chair? Oh, this one? I mean, you're not going to be sitting in these planes for 12 hours a day, like we are in VFX, I guess. 30 days, then 60 days of look dev, then get pixel fucked in lighting, pretty much. No, like some planes, like aircraft, like hero aircraft I built in movies, I got 15 days to do them. Like it's 60% kit bash. I would say it's closer to 80% kit bash. Actually, no, I'd go even higher. Even the body, this base, this piece here, is literally... Do I have the piece here somewhere? Maybe you got rid of it. I think the only thing I modeled bespoke was this, the console. Everything on top is kit bash. This is all kit bash. I think this piece is bespoke. Here you go, this piece here. Actually, so this piece here and this piece here were originally the same piece, but I just modified them. You can see, you can see it here actually. You can see this groove layout is here as well, but I have modified it. I was wondering if I could find the original piece, but I don't think there's an original piece. I think this is bespoke. This section here is bespoke. The chair obviously is bespoke. These details are all kit bash. You'll ever reuse entire cockpits? Nah, you would never reuse an entire cockpit, but you'd steal parts from it for sure. Just curious, how many years did it take for you to start making a decent salary in VFX? Was there a big difference in your pay scale between Europe and North America? No. No, there's not a pay difference in US. I mean, North America versus Canada versus UK. It took me a few years, 5 years, to get like good money. But okay, let me just say this first actually. So a lot of like my friends would jump around studios and they would boost their salary pretty quickly. Me, I played the long game where I stayed on the same bad salary, but I prioritized getting the good work. Once I got an amazing portfolio, then I had a massive jump. I honestly think that's a better way of going. I reckon prioritize the portfolio first, and then the money will come. Where I have a lot of friends that just bounced around, but they never really got good work to do. And then I just overtook them all. I think that's the way of doing it. Is industry adapting to Blender? Hell no. Short flight missions protect the law? Yeah. When you say 15 days, would you have only 15 days yourself, or do you have like a small team? No, like the model days would be 15 days. So if say for example, a vehicle has 20 days, and there's two people who are working on it at the same time, they both get 10 days each. It's not, or maybe one person gets 15, the other person gets 5. That you can't go over the bid days. But yeah, no, industry's not picking up Blender at all. Not saying no one uses it, but it's not it's not being adopted as like the program to use. There's always exceptions though. Maybe you'll find a Blender user somewhere, but it's not, definitely not the norm for sure. You did the same as me? It's I think it's the way to do it personally. But, you know, everyone has different priorities. Some people prioritize the money. Now I definitely prioritize the money, but like when I first started off, for sure, it was the portfolio. Because in the end, you can just do both, right? That's the goal, right? In the end, get the good money and do the cool work. But I think it's harder to get the cool work than it is to get the good money. It's 5 a.m. Fucking hell. Yeah, you should go to bed. Catch you later. Yeah, 5 a.m. is crazy. But yeah, if you get the good work, the money will eventually come. That'll be good enough. That'll work. Does it make any sense which software you're modeling? There's no difference. Mesh is mesh. That is not true at all. That is definitely not true. It's about working in a team environment with many other artists. So to do that, everyone needs to be on the same page. And to do that, everyone uses the same software. Yeah, in VFX Studios, mesh is not a thing. Because the pipeline goes through Maya. You reckon you could have renegotiated at the same place with your new reel? Same place, what do you mean? Yes, but I know. What if I model in Blender, then I'll import it into Maya? Will there be any difference? Well, the fact that Blender doesn't have object grouping like Maya is already a massive pain in the ass between Blender and Maya. There might be other proprietary tags that are like part of the pipeline that will obviously be removed when you export it out of Maya. So all of that will have to constantly be assigned again over and over. It's just so much easier to just open it, work on it, and then check it back into the pipeline instead of having to go back and forth between programs and losing metadata, which is applied to the model itself. You reckon you could, without jumping to a new studio? It's very hard to negotiate a new salary in a company you're already in. Usually you have to leave, or what is this? Oh shit, did I get rid of that thing? Usually you have to leave or get a counter offer. Whoops, I fucked up. bring this back up here. I'm going to just find an old one. Can you get a job in the industry if you only know Blender? If I'll be completely honest, I assume it's your first job if you're kind of asking these sorts of questions. So why would they hire you if they can just hire many of the other hundreds of people that use Maya? That's the unfortunate reality is, even if you're a good modeler, there's 100 other great modelers over here, just as good as you, but they already use the program we use. So it's a no-brainer to just simply hire like that. I mean, it obviously depends entirely on the studio environment, right? Like some studios maybe, but if you're trying to get to like the big 5 or something like that, then it's just hard to have the leverage like that to justify hiring someone when you can just hire others, if that makes sense. Not saying it's impossible or anything. You're just playing it on hard mode essentially. Because another thing is, like, say for example, this is also another main issue. Imagine we hire someone that doesn't use Maya and they refuse to, then what? If they don't even use the program we use, how can we trust that they will even listen to the feedback that's given by the supervisors? Things like that. It's so much more riskier than just simply hiring someone that already uses the tools we use. You'll model in Blender and do other stuff in Maya. I mean, as long as you can actually use Maya, you increase your chance of being hired for sure. That's the main thing at the end of the day, right? If you can't use Maya at all, you're at a massive disadvantage. What's this? Into you're really struggling to learn hard surface modeling especially when it comes to your ideas, and it takes a long time. Any advice on that? Because studios tend to work really fast. I'd focus on just studying the real world, honestly. Just study the real world. Figure out the logic of how the real world works, and that will usually kind of give you answers to the sort of solutions you're trying to solve. Like, I don't know, imagine hypothetically, like, okay, we need to detail this plane. What do? We look at real planes and we see the details that are on real planes. And then we figure out, like, what is the purpose of the details of these real planes? And then you can find things like, say, for example, like these sorts of aerials on the wingtips are used for when the plane gets struck by lightning. It will send the electricity to the wingtips instead of frying the main important parts. And then that's a cool detail we can add to the plane, right? And that just comes from the real world. Like when I built these missiles, I just looked at real missiles. Andrew vs Blender? What? Nah, there's no Andrew vs Blender. But yeah, studying the real world, I think, is the answer for a lot of stuff like that. Just think about what problem needs to be solved. How has this problem been solved in the real world? And then just copy that. Now the whole Blender thing has been pretty chill lately. I'm glad the Blender community did calm down quite a lot, which is nice. There was a period of time where it was a bit intense, but now everyone in the Blender, well, not everyone, but most people in the Blender community are pretty chill these days. AI is the real enemy now. I was thinking that, but I wasn't going to say it. Yeah, we have a common enemy now. As far as like the interior of this sort of stuff, it doesn't actually really matter what's in here. I need something that kind of glances the eye because it's like glass. So I'm just keep bashing elements and shoving in there. Calm before the storm. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens with the whole AI and stuff like that. Who knows for now? Everyone's just making shit up at this point. No one has any idea what the future actually holds. Can I be able to export the modeled mesh to Blender for rendering my portfolio? Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, you can still do your portfolio in Blender if you want. The main thing is you need to know Maya if you want to get a job, and be accepting the fact that you might have to model in Maya. I think the main thing is like there is like a higher chance you'll be able to use Blender in a VFX studio now, but it's more the fact like if you're a junior, your value to the team is still very risky, and companies might not want to take that risk by just simply hiring someone that uses the software that we already use. I know it's a very blunt way of putting it, but that's probably the easiest way of really putting it out there. Like, I don't know, maybe I could have a chance at arguing to use Blender, but at least I have like 12 years of experience and great portfolio and stuff like that. So I actually have a degree of leverage to request, niche things for me. But it's much harder for a junior to do that. And I think that's the main thing. Because I think, unfortunately, like students, not all students, but some students these days, I feel kind of are a bit, everyone thinks they're kind of special. Like a studio will bend to let you do what you want. And it's like, not really. The studio will just hire someone that does the job. In terms of getting a job, it's better to learn Maya simply because it's been around for way longer. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like I know both programs. I know Blender and Maya. And there's nothing wrong with knowing and using both programs. It's just better to know Maya so you can at least use the program if you have to. If you go to a studio and they let you use Blender, awesome, that's no problem. It's just riskier. Looking at Ubisoft ever since they joined the Blender Fund. Yeah, but Ubisoft seems to be in a lot of issues at the moment. I don't know if Ubisoft is the safest company to go to. I remember everyone talking about how Ubisoft is moving to Blender, and it turned out it was just like the animation department or something like that. How about 3ds Max? Is it used often in the VFX industry? Not as a modeler, unless you're going to Scanline. Scanline, I think you have a high chance of using. I think Scanline is okay with modelers using Max because their pipeline goes through Max. An instructor of mine said a student got a job because the studio hiring person saw their hierarchy for modeling and knew they'd be easy to integrate. This is exactly why I make students do it, because you're showing you have like a fully complete asset. This is 100% why I always tell people to show hierarchy, UVs, everything, because you're showing a finished asset. And it means like, okay, I trust this person knows how to think in production thinking. We can hire them immediately. Blender is out for 20 years as well. I remember opening it for the first time, tried to do something, couldn't even select a cube. Thought, what the fucking, closed it. Nah, but Blender is a fantastic tool now, for sure. Yeah, Blender is amazing, and I'd highly recommend it. Anyone that's like thinking of getting to 3D, 100% they should be using Blender. It's once they figure out what they want to do, the direction of their career they want to go, that's when they should start thinking about what programs to actually use for a job. Yo, how's it going? It's probably good enough for now. Modeling details for the cockpit, just UVs. Today we refined the joystick and stuff like that. I do need to start wrapping things up. So yeah, most of today was just this. Well, today hasn't been that long, 20 minutes or so. Actually, I don't know how long we've been streaming for, but this sort of stuff. I used Blender for 3 years before I moved to Maya. It's okay, but I think it doesn't have a really good and robust modeling tools. Nah, Maya's modeling tools are definitely lacking for sure. It's just better at production, I think, because of the organization side. Blender feels really loose and quick. Maya feels more clunky, but it feels robust and reliable, I guess is the way I'd put it. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things in Blender I wish we had in Maya. One of my favorite things in Blender actually is snap to orthographic. I think that is awesome. Like being able to quickly like hold Shift Alt, well, no, Control Alt, and then like flick my wrist and then snap to orthographic. So good. That's something I do wish we had. Do I need to add edge breakup in the cockpit? Probably not. I imagine a cockpit won't get the sort of wear and tear that an exterior, that the plane will get. Yeah, because the cockpit won't get the wear and tear that the elements will get. I mean that the plane itself will get exposed to the elements. But maybe I might do subtle wear and tear in the texture itself. I think the actual plane, the actual exterior should get the wear and tear for sure. You're going to organize these little details into a different UDIM. Oh, no, you never, in VFX, you never overlay UVs, never. Well, maybe not never, but for a hero asset, it's way better just to leave everything separate and keep it flexible because you have no idea what is needed. Imagine we overlay all of these and then for some fucking reason, the director wants this specific one here to have a decal on top of it, then what? Then you're kind of screwed. So it's always better to leave things separate. Think Maya's overpriced? No, if you get Maya Indie, you can pay $300 and earn up to $120,000 with it. I don't think Maya is overpriced. Let's see. My only issue with Maya is I can't justify a subscription. Yeah, if you're just doing personal work, just use Blender. I don't think people need to get Maya at all. The reason I have Maya is just because I am more comfortable in Maya and I do like mentorships where I need Maya to open my students' Maya files. There's things like this. And I find the organization better in Maya, so. In Maya, there's a switch cam script. I know there is a script that Jay Machado gave out, but it kind of screws the camera up in a way that I'm not a fan of. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You literally mentioned Jay Machado. I should have read it. Yeah, I've seen the script before. Garriston, one of my students at Think Tank, was using it, and it made it so hard to review his work because it got in the way of like selecting camera images. So I do know what it is, but it fucks up other things I need, unfortunately. Yeah, Blender in games, I've heard, has become more popular. If I was in games, I would probably use Blender, maybe. Maybe. I'm going to refill my water. Back in a sec. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. On Thursday, I'm going to do another stream around about this time, and the creature modeling supervisor, John Katapia, is going to be jumping onto the stream. We're going to have a chat. So if anyone has any questions for John, let me know. So John is he was the lead creature modeler on Dune 1 and 2. He's been at DNEG for a while. He's like a mentor at Think Tank as well. So yeah, if you have any questions for the creature modeling side, let me know. But yeah, he's going to be here on Thursday, and we're just going to have a chat about VFX and stuff. What are the left and right and center criteria for UV layout? Do you mean like what do you mean by a criteria? Usually all the center stuff is usually together. I mean, it depends on the studio or the texture artist, right? But for me, I do left every second row. And the idea behind that is, say, for example, you update the model, you duplicate, left to right. What you can do now is, you freeze it. What you can do is now you can grab all your UVs and press them up once. And then now, essentially left and right are on top of each other. And it just keeps your UVs very consistent this way. Most of creatures are created by seniors, or it depends on if it's your asset. It depends entirely on the asset, right? If it's like the main dragon or something, of course, a senior will do it. But if it's like a background creature or thing, a mid-level artist can do it for sure. Does this answer the question about UVs? But yeah, this is just, it's not always this way. It depends entirely on the texture artist. The texture artist is the one that really dictates how they want the UVs done. Depending on the studio, it can also be different. What about juniors? I mean, sure, if you're on a show with like 50, 60 creatures, sure, maybe a junior might get a really basic creature. It depends entirely on the show. Usually what will happen is like a junior will be given kind of like test tasks, and depending on how well the junior does, they could be given more bigger tasks, right? Like say, for example, my experience on Guardians of the Galaxy was I originally started by supporting other modelers on aircraft, but I kind of just worked too fast and just took over the aircraft. So they're like, okay, well, Andrew can be trusted by himself to do aircraft by himself. So I got aircraft by myself. Who modeled the Thopter in Dune, and where's the inspiration from the Thopter? In Dune 1, Michael Chang made the 3 ornithopters for Dune 1, and then I modeled the 2 new ornithopters for Dune 2. Where's the inspiration come from? I mean, it's the concept artist's thing. But I am assuming dragonflies. Haven't I collected wooden sticks as a junior? No, I was a runner back then. I wasn't a junior at that point. But yeah, I gathered wooden sticks for a Groot reference. That was a long time ago. Yeah, Michael Chang is a really good modeler. He has no online presence though. That's actually one of the questions someone had for John, I think, is the idea of like, do you need an online presence to be in the industry? And the answer is definitely no. But we can talk about that more when John gets here on Thursday. What time will the stream be on Thursday? Probably the same time as this one. But yeah, John's a cool guy. We've been friends for a few years. Why do I have to kill? Who do I have to kill to stop ArtStation from logging out my account? I got no idea. I can't remember the last time I've looked at ArtStation, honestly. Oh shit, I didn't do this. But yeah, John's a super chill dude. He's the only model supervisor at DNEG currently. But yeah, he did like he was the main guy that did the worm for Dune 1, and then obviously looked after it for Dune 2. Dune 2, I think, was a team of people though, just because there was so much more worm stuff to do. It's funny, Michael Chang is actually another Australian guy. So at DNEG, the two hard surface modelers are the two Australian guys. Gotta be Australian? Yeah. Is Michael also a mentor at Think Tank? Yeah, Michael's at Think Tank as well. I don't know how often he does it though, because I know he likes his free time, which is obviously understandable. But yeah, I don't know how often he does it. And that's the thing, like you don't have to go crazy like me with all this extra stuff to work in the industry, right? Like so many people work in the industry and do no personal work. They have no online presence. They don't want to do any of this stuff, right? It's definitely not a requirement at all for being in this industry, doing all the extra stuff, right? He collected sticks too. No, I think he started his career at Animal Logic, I think, back in Australia. As a professional, you still bring the reference to my model on top of it? Depends. The concept, yes, we model on top of the concept. And it's the thing, right? Like, if you've got the concept in front of you, why not model on top of it? It's already there for you. Why try and make it harder by guessing by eye when you can just model on top of it and make your life easier? Do models get subdivided before going to texturize? Yeah, they do. So the how many times? I think it's. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not a texturizer. I assume it's twice. But yeah, so the idea is that we check this into the pipeline. It gets subdivided when it goes to the texture artist. And then when at render time, the textures will line up with the model that will be subdivided at render time. He collected raccoons with Rocket. Can I check your question? Can you tell a little bit about pattern, how you pack UV? Pattern? What pattern? Sorry. You're studying 3D for games at NAD in Montreal right now. Surprised at the amount of people not interested by games there? Really? Because Montreal has a strong games industry. So if I was in Montreal, I would probably go into games because VFX just kind of got screwed up in Montreal because the tax incentives are gone now. Yeah, sorry, what are you talking about, the UV pattern? What are you asking in specifically? You started working games after studying film? Yeah, that's fair. I totally understand. I'd probably do the same. Do you select a square for each individual object or by filling in the texels? Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Select a square for each individual object. Are you talking about a UDIM? Are you talking about one UDIM per object? Nah, definitely not. Depending on how close you see the object, depends on how much of the UDIM it will take up. So depending on that, depends on how many UDIMs you end up using. But yeah, definitely not one object per UDIM. That's way too crazy. And you also want each object to be consistent. So the textile density of these are the same. The most important thing with texturing is every piece of geo is the same textile density. But yeah, it's so important to have like interaction points with everything, even if it's like really cheated like this. It's the most important thing for sure. Even though it's super subtle, doing that like makes such a massive difference. Please public those live streams. What do you mean, please public the live streams? Yeah, this is because I'm working on the left side at the moment. So that will be over there. But yeah, sorry, what live streams you asked me to public? Everything is public. Everyone starts as a junior? Yeah, of course. You could be the coolest, greatest sculptor ever we find on the internet, but you're still a junior. Like, there's like working in the industry is nothing like working at home. It's not even comparable. The only similarity is there's modeling involved. But like actual process of working in the industry is so different than doing a personal project. Oh, you're talking about these other old streams. I forgot. All right, no worries. But yeah, working at work is so different to working at home. Like it's hard to explain how different it is. But yeah, being a good modeler doesn't mean anything. If you change studio, will you preserve your level? Yeah, for sure. Usually the reason you move studio is to go up a level. So I know that I get this right. So I've never actually had a promotion. Every time I've gone up a level, it's because I've changed studio. That's just unfortunately how it is sometimes. That's the thing, if you're doing good work, why pay you more to do the same work? So usually to get the bump, you usually have to leave. I'm still astonished you're just doing this by eyeballing. It's close enough, I guess. How much time? Usually it's about 2. I usually spend about 2 years at a studio before I move to another one. I think 2 years is the most optimal amount of time because no one gives out 2-year contracts. So it's shown that you were good enough to be extended, and it shows you can commit for a decent amount of time. Because if you're bouncing around every few months, then people are skeptical, like, okay, what's the deal with this person? Do they keep getting fired? Are they unable to commit to something? But if you commit to 2 years, it shows you've done essentially 2 full-length contracts and you are able to commit. And so I think that's what I would aim for. That's not a good one. 2 to 4 years. Yeah, I've been at DNEG for 4 years now, I think. So I think it's been 4 years. What happens if you already bounced in a VFX studio? Will I hire again? Yeah, if you left in a good way, then sure, why not? There's no reason to not hire you again. It just depends, like, if you left in good standing or something, essentially. Was I hired by DNEG for Dune? Yeah. So my contract at ILM was up. I was unemployed. So I just put out that I didn't have a job. And within like the day, like literally that day, I put on Facebook or whatever that I, looking for work. The CG supervisor on Dune, who I knew personally, was like, hey, I can use you. And then they hired me for Dune like a week later. So it didn't take me long to get another job. So that was great. And yeah, the CG supervisor hired me for Dune. And then he ended up being... And then I left DNEG to do freelance concept. And then Dune 2 came around. And the VFX supervisor, who was the CG supervisor, he's now VFX supervisor. He's like, hey, can use you again for Dune Part 2. So then they hired me again for Dune 2. What was the studio that gave me senior? It was Method Studios. So it was ILM as a mid, and then I went to Method as a senior, then went back to ILM as a senior 9 months later. Andrew hired Part 2? Yeah, I know, right. And then I've just been at DNEG since Dune Part 2. Back at NPC, when you were first starting out, were you considered fast for junior? Oh, hell yeah, I was super fast for a junior. I'm probably... Actually, so I physically modeled faster then than I do now. But I think I make much better problem-solving decisions now. Like, I don't need to, like, try as hard, if that makes sense. Because I can usually just make the right decision off the go. And I think that's where experience comes in. Like, you might not be as fast as some of these Blender people, like, oh, look how many buttons I can press so quickly. I'm like, yeah, cool, but the work looks bad. So it's like, obviously, as you get more experience, you essentially make better decisions. What's the difference between think tank mentoring and private mentoring you do? Well, one's through think tank and one is much more casual with me, I guess. They're not essentially... Think tank is full-time. The private mentorships I do are usually people that are already working and just want a bit of extra on top. So usually it's every second week instead of every single week. Yeah. But yeah, if you're thinking of doing mentorship just to have me, you might as well just do a private mentorship instead of going to a think tank. Probably cost you a lot less money. How does grouping work in Maya? You select 2 pieces of geo, you press Ctrl G, and then you have a group. Now the group can move together. Where do I offer private mentorship? Let me just see. I have a form that people can fill out. Let me head to the form. Because I keep getting a lot of questions and stuff like that, so it made it easier just to condense everything down to a form. So if you're interested in mentorship, you can fill out the form and I will reach out. VFX seems to be in total chaos with hiring. Is it? How do you deal with period between contracts? I have been very fortunate in that I haven't been unemployed since I got in the industry. But if I was unemployed, I would probably just dive more into doing personal work. I would do mentorships. I would do more streaming. I would just fill the time with other things and learn new skills. Maybe I'd take a week or so off first and have a break, but I would probably just dive more into personal stuff. And this is kind of why I also set this up to begin with in the first place, is in case I do lose my job, then I have other things I can do while I am, waiting to get back on my feet. So essentially the idea of doing all the extra things, making the kit bash libraries, streaming, all this sort of stuff is just to have backup in case I do need to do some work without having a full-time job. How long was I modeling before I broke into the industry? I'd probably say 2 years, 3 years. Just self-teaching myself at home. Control G is creating a collection in Blender makes way more sense. Create collection. Nah, collections are nothing like grouping. Collection or object grouping are 2 different things, not even remotely similar to each other. You don't have object grouping in Blender, unfortunately. Because say for example, you can't create 2 cubes, put them into a group, and then move them together with a collection. And then say for example, you can't have 2 separate groups or 2 separate collections, and then select both groups at the same time in Blender. That's just not a thing, unfortunately. So yeah, Blender collections and grouping, object grouping and Maya are not even related to each other. Ah, Jesus Christ. I've had that debate so many times. I just assumed this was just the same thing again. But yeah, maybe there's new people in the chat that don't know the difference. Of course, you should. Linking objects kind of does that. Yeah, but then doesn't linking objects also screw with the deformers and stuff like that? Not deformers, the deformation stack. You should always fill your time, but it's not like that carries you the means to survive, and all the time filling is more of an investment than what you used to buy coffee today. I mean, sure, but put it this way. Would you rather just sit around and be bummed out, or would you sit around and feel productive? And then when the work does come back, you have now put yourself into a better position to get the job. I think that is the easiest way I'd look at it. You can parent to objects in Blender though? Yeah, it's a real pain in the ass to manually parent in Blender. Wow, this looks nice. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Like you can do, so what you're saying essentially is like you grab two cubes like this, you create a empty, right? Or we call it locator, but you create empty, and then you compare these to this and then move this, right? This is what you're talking about. But now you're left with your locator in your scene that you might accidentally select. With grouping, it essentially does that, but it creates but you can't physically click the locator. It doesn't exist. You can only select the geo. And then what you can do is you can press up to select the group, and then you can now snap the group pivot and then rotate or move or anything. It's so much better in Maya. It's not even close. Can I quickly show the rest? I think it's in a different file. Here it is. This is the body. The cockpit is obviously not here at the moment. Now they do have a grouping in machine tools. It's the closest they have for sure. Do you have any advice for generalists? It's more difficult for generalists to get hired in the industry compared to the specialists like dedicated modelers, VFX. Not really. I think generalists literally have a job called generalists or environment artists. I think if you want to be a generalist, usually you'd go into environments, not modeling or texturing. What does the feature lack compared to Maya? It's more just how easy it is to use Maya's grouping, like being able to snap pivots much easily, or group easier, pull things in and out of the group using the hierarchy, stuff like that is just much easier. Yes, I'm rather interested in the domestic side of things. I'm fine in game dev, but I often see people in VFX with a delay between contracts and wonder, are they really living on the leftovers of their previous paychecks for months? I don't know. I've obviously been very fortunate in my career. I guess we can put it this way. Like I've been very fortunate in my career to stay employed, but I feel that's also because I put in so much extra work to build the skills and build my name and all that sort of stuff, that the extra work is what made me more secure with a job. Does that make sense? Doing UV for this plane is hectic. Oh, most of the UVs are already done. I think it's 120 UDIMs or something like that. Yo, Happy New Year. Oh, God. But yeah, I think it's about... Oh, God, did it crash? Whatever. I wasn't using that file anyway. But yeah, I think it's like 120 UDIMs. Still at DNEG? Yeah, I'm at DNEG. How you doing? Can I ask you why most of the UVs are scattered? Surely they can't be all left, right? UVs? So which part? Oh, with the plane that just crashed? Did I not close? Oh. That looks awesome. Is it standard practice to model all those panels? I do modeling for games and that sort of stuff is just normal mapped. Yeah, it's in VFX. It depends. I think it's normal for modeling to do the paneling. Some people disagree with me, but it just makes our lives so much easier. And I think it looks way better in the panel. But like you bake your high in games, don't you bake down your high res to low res anyway? So you could model the panel in the high res and bake it down into the low res mesh, right? In film, we just don't have our low-res mesh. We just keep the high-res. Did I ever play soccer with the DNEG group? No, I didn't. Your portfolio is amazing. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. How much of an issue is it performance when it comes to doing these extremely dense film quality assets? I just break the asset up, right? Like I broke the body and stuff apart, and I'm working on the cockpit independently. But this is very light on my computer. It's no issue at all. But yeah, so what was your question about UVs? You talking about all the leftover stuff over here? This is just my like work area. It's just, so this is all clear. Why were your UVs alternating? What do you mean by alternating? How do you decide the amount of UDIMs you'll need for an asset? I usually just put the camera close to it, put a UV checker on and be like, yeah, that's good enough. Usually you'll give this to the texture artist and they'll do a test render with a procedural texture on it just to see if it holds up, and then you can usually go from there. Yeah, I mean, all these UVs should be... All these UVs should be up here, right? Sure. Thanks for the tier 1, I appreciate it. Why is the default? Because cubes exist outside of outside of Blender. Are you asking why my UVs look like this? I'm confused. Does texture artist bake before texturing of this type? Yeah, they do their curvature bakes and all that sort of stuff for sure. Oh, you mean like bake high res to low res? No, if that's what you're talking about. Oh, lovely, Maya. I think it's because you're just showing the right side, maybe. I'll stop fucking with that file. I don't know, that's... The 1 year badge will be a bike, imagine. Sorry, there's a lot of YouTube comments I missed. Back at VFX side quests, just to stay employed. Whereabouts are you working now? How much of an issue is performance? Oh, I know, we already looked at that one. Usually you can do that, however, it's usually quicker to just do it in texture. I suppose if it's the hero pop, you would spend a lot longer on it. Yeah, VFX, to hit photorealism, I think it's always better to do it in the model if you can do it in the model. Is there any trick when it comes to fusing wings with the fuselage? You can just build them as one body and then break it apart from there, I guess. Does texture aspect, oh, that one. Does DNEG hire freelancers? No. No, it's hard. It's hard for VFX to hire freelancers because our jobs are tax incentive based. If in real life an object has overlapping panels, as in one panel is below another, do you sometimes model with the panels overlapped, or are they just always just next to each other? If they look overlapped in real life, I would just overlap them to match it. Let's say I have a cube that has been rotated randomly. How do I get it back to its original rotation? I mean, you can do this if you want. So you have a cube that's like rotated weirdly. What you can do is you can create a plane or something And you go up here to modify snap together, and then maybe snap it back to the plane. Actually, no, then you have this rotation still to do with. I might just do it by eye. Just do something like that. I don't know. Something like that, essentially. Or if you still have the transforms, you can just use the transforms, obviously. But yeah, VFX studios don't really hire freelancers because our work has to usually be done in-house. From 1 to 10, how much would you like to work in Henry Cavill's Warhammer movies? Probably 1,000. Like if I could pick a project to work on, it would be that one for sure, like without a doubt. I hope the universe provides and sends the 40k TV show my way in some form. But we'll have to see. We have no control over that sort of stuff. Oh yeah, for people who haven't seen it, maybe I'll pull up on stream. I was building a Space Marine before. I will eventually finish that, but I think I need to stop screwing around with the plane and just finish the plane first. And then we can go back to the Space Marine. But yeah, I'll show you the Space Marine we were building before I got distracted. Well, before I stopped being distracted and came back to the plane. But yeah, this fellow is looking pretty cool. Eventually I'll come back to it. But yeah, so if the universe can give me you know, Space Marine, the Warhammer show, I would fucking love that. Is that Warhammer 40k? Yeah, I got so excited by Space Marine 2 coming out that I decided to start working on my own Space Marine. Have I worked in feature animation? No, I've never worked in feature animation. I see a lot of overlapping objects in this model. Do you rework on the model to combine into one? Hell no. There's no need to do that at all. Nah, there's absolutely no reason to combine Geo into one object. When working in VFX, how much of a role does the team have on set with planning? Only the VFX supervisor goes on set. Or is it just... Yeah, no, the VFX supervisors go on set to consult, to help with the VFX side. Do I model organic? I haven't done much organic. The idea behind this was it was going to give me an excuse to do organic by sculpting skulls, but I didn't finish it. How do you decide on text density UV? Just go by eye, me personally. But yeah, there's no need to combine objects. You just group them and it's fine. Yo, Rockies, thanks for the prime. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yo, Rat Lord with the raid. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good stream. How's it? Your stream died? What do you mean your stream died? What happened? How did your stream die? Oh, your internet went out. That's a shame. Which render do I use? This is just Arnold. We were about to raid, but got cut short. Oh no. But yeah, if you don't know Rat Lord, she is a character artist that works in the game industry. Not as cool as Hard Surface, but you should go check her stream out as well. What's the focal length of this camera? This is 200. I'm a big fan of the long lenses. But yeah, we'll go back to Space Marine one day. Do they use Blender? Yeah, they use Blender and ZBrush. What are we doing here? We are building a plane from... Oh, I closed it. Let me just open the full plane. We are building a plane from the movie Macross Plus. This is just the cockpit at the moment. But yeah, whoever is new here, I'm a hard surface modeler in the film industry, working on like Dune and Star Wars and all that sort of stuff. That's another Cyberpunk enjoyer? Yeah, Cyberpunk's one of my all-time favorite games. Yeah, this is the YF-19 we're building. But I've broken it apart. All the landing gear is in another file now. Yeah, this is just personal project. This is not a commission or anything. This is just for fun. And I want to learn like texturing in Mari and stuff like that. Worked on Dune, Star Wars, and Snails. Exactly. But yeah, the cockpit, the landing gear, the weapons, all that sort of stuff is in a separate file at the moment. When working professionally, how fast do you have to work? As fast as you can. I mean, there's no point working fast if you're not working well. Cockpit is invisible? No, it's just the scene was getting heavy, so I started putting the other elements in a separate Maya file. Model looks gorgeous. Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty dense. So all the paneling is all modeled in and everything like that. What kind of PC do I have? I got 128 gigs of RAM and a 4090. That's gonna look nice after texture? Yeah, it's gonna look sick. After bake? Nah, hell no, we're leaving the high res. We don't deal with this baking in film. Do I always model with 50 focal length? I usually do just because it's like the human eye. Yo, Crimson, how's it going, man? 5090? Yeah, no, I'm all good, thanks. Thanks so much for the answers. Yeah, no worries. That's the whole point of doing this. Conversation and learning and stuff. All right, back to the cockpit. Oh yeah, they do those sorts of bakes. Sorry, when someone from like games talks about baking, I always assume they mean high res to low res. Because like for procedural texturing, it makes sense to do You obviously do bakes for that, but not for detail. 69, it's gonna be nice, for sure. But yeah, we have no music at the moment, just because I multi-stream on YouTube, so we don't want to get hit by YouTube's copyright stuff. You're able to separate your VOD tracks for YouTube versus Twitch, by the way? Oh, really? Interesting. Maybe I should do that then. I mean, this way people can just put their own music on and I can just listen to whatever nonsense I'm listening to. But that's something I could think about. Did you set up multi-streaming, Crimson? I feel like multi-streaming would definitely benefit you for sure. Because you already have like a YouTube following. YouTube quality is kind of shit? Really? Why? What do you mean it's YouTube quality is shit? Oh yeah, the first Crimson part. Yeah. Your name sounds like a sacrifice. So on Twitch, everyone is bouncing and party. On YouTube, they just ask questions about UVs, pretty much. Nah, it's good. I think it's nice having both, especially because it allows the VOD just to be better on YouTube. Twitch VODs were kind of not doing anything really. We sacrifice brain cells? That sounds about right. But yeah, people don't know First Crimson. He's a game dev streamer. So you definitely go check him out as well. Well, he works on his game. It's essentially... I keep thinking of what was it originally called? Like Thin Wick or something like that? Soup for Hire, that's the official name now. Would you say then educative content works better on YouTube streams? I think it's more the fact that it's just so much, the VOD itself is just so much better on YouTube than Twitch. I guess it's just the easiest way of putting it. Because I already have YouTube content anyway, so it just puts it all together in a nice little bow. John Wick's younger brother, Thin Wick. Yeah. Nah, Crimson's game is cool. It's fun. I thought they had better bitrate than Twitch. Yeah, I thought that's one of the main reasons to go, was the videos were better. Oh, wait. So it's just when it's live it's bad, are you saying? Interesting. Is the VOD better? The VOD better though. That's looking so cool. Thanks, I appreciate it. This is just the cockpit, which is part of the main plane. But we're working independently at the moment just because the scene gets heavy. You type in Twitch, but you watch on YouTube. That's interesting. Why would you do that? I mean, you give me double the AdSense, so I appreciate that, I guess. Do I collaborate with other departments? Oh, for sure. VFX in the film industry is entirely a collaborative effort. I'm just a modeler, so I work directly with the texture artists, look dev, rigging, all that sort of stuff. Oh, personal projects, sorry. Not really. Originally, I was going to get my friend to texture this plane, but then I was like, wait a minute, I should be learning how to texture. So I'm not texturing with them anymore. I'm just going to texture myself. There it is. Good learning opportunity. Yeah, it's just I've been doing nothing but modeling for 12 years now in the industry, and it's kind of like I should probably at least diversify a little bit. And I can't be bothered learning characters or creatures. So, sorry, Right Lord. So I will just do texturing instead. What's the usual workflow for updating your model when effects ask for a war type model? The proper way is to talk to effects from the very start, so you know to do it effects friendly to begin with, because if making a existing model effects friendly is awful. So it's better if we just get on the same page at the start. So that's the usual workflow. We talk to them at the very start before we do any modeling. Then everyone is happier. This is kind of a cool looking shape in here. Biggest mistake of my career? Probably. I mean, technically it's what stops me from being a lead at the moment, so I guess that is technically true. So, of the wires in the cockpit go directly into the cockpit, but there's no holes for the wires to go into, right? Which ones? These ones? You can fake the connections by having stuff like this. You don't have to have a specific hole. You can have like a cap or something. You just need to indicate something. Like if this wasn't here, this wouldn't look good, but this is okay. You just need to have something that implies a connection, and that's the only thing that matters. Doesn't matter if it's like an actual hole. It just needs to be some form of connection. The CG in the Dune films were top tier. Shout out to the VFX team. Why, thank you. Yeah, so the stuff I did for Dune 2 was I modeled the Harkonnen Harvester. I modeled several of the Ornithopters. I worked on the big sphere ship, the Emperor ship. I worked on the Sardaukar ships. The first movie I worked on the Atreides, big ship, the ones that get destroyed at night, the Harkonnen troop ships, that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll open my demo reel. Let's check out my demo reel. We'll put it on for just a little bit. I don't know how much YouTube, if you know how much this. Does YouTube also like visually give you DMCA? Yeah, this is my modeling reel. Yeah, so I modeled the Harkonnen harvester and it was like 6 months, I think. And I built the gunner ornithopter, this one here. All right, yeah. So with this one, we knew from the very start it was going to explode. So I built it to explode. This is how this stuff works. We already know it's going to split here, so I built this section here to be effects friendly. So the cabin and stuff, this is all effects friendly because we know it's going to break up. How long did it take the model? I spent 3 months on it in Dune 2 and a few months in Dune 1. Watertight, yeah, it's watertight. But these sorts of ones you can do in like 15, 20 days. Polygon count? I can't remember, it was very high. Yeah, I worked on a lot of Dune stuff. Do you know it had to be watertight from Dune 1? It's not in Dune 1. It's only a ornithopter that's in Dune 2. So these are watertight. We knew these exploded, so I built these to be watertight. Oh, the harvester. No, I had to rebuild part of I rebuilt a lot of the harvester for Dune 2. Jesus, you're a legend. Cheers. Yeah, I worked on a decent amount of stuff. Blender? Hell no. Maya, of course. If I was hired as a generalist, can I be able to work on this kind of projects? Yeah, I mean, the environment team that did all this work, all the environments are all made by generalists. Like all the mountains, all this stuff is all done by generalists. Watertight mean? I'll show you. Oh yeah, I made the Sardaukar ships as well. Sardaukar ships are very cool. What does watertight mean? Okay, so this is watertight. This is now no longer watertight. That's what watertight means. If I was hired as a journalist, can I be able to work on the kind of projects? Oh yeah, for sure. Or just for environments. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Unfortunately, the chance of you doing model and texture in VFX in assets is low, just because this will be a prime example. Say I have modeled this plane. The texture artist can now start texturing this while I build the high-res cockpit. So it means we can get the work done quicker because the model and texture is usually kind of done in tandem together. So I can start building this while the texture artist starts texturing this. And if the texture has to wait while I do the model, it's just too long. So usually you do only one or the other. You had to deal with watertight for the first time for a Star Wars show? Which Star Wars show? What happened to being a concept artist? Generative AI came out. And Dune 2 was hiring. So I came back for Dune 2 and then just stayed. But yeah, it was a mix of timing with Dune 2 and generative AI scaring me away from concept. But it made me realize I enjoy modeling anyway. So I'm happy staying as a modeler. Another issue is like moving into concept. I'm essentially starting over again, and when you've already been doing all the cool spaceships, and now you're at the bottom of being a concept artist, you're not going to be doing the cool spaceship anymore. And it's kind of like, sure, I'd have to give up doing the cool work. And for me, I still wanted to do cool work. Thoughts on AI? I think it's a very unfortunate future ahead. Can you give me some tips on camera match? How to make model with 2D reference? Keep the model as so basic as possible. Just leave it as cubes. Like literally look at the concept, place cubes in 3D space and just line points up on a cube. Like don't model anything. Just place primitives around it like points. Like imagine we're looking at this render here. Imagine this is a render. I would just place a cube like here at this point here. I would put it in symmetry across here and then make sure these two cubes line up. Then move on to the next one. Place a cube over here, put it in symmetry, try and get this cube to line up with this cube. And you just keep doing that. Like don't model anything, just put primitives or cubes, cylinders, spheres, whatever, at different points, like very clear transitions, and then try and get it to line up that way. Did I watch NVIDIA's thing about the next AI? No, I don't really care, honestly. I'm so sick of hearing about AI. It is what it is. Everything just gets so overhyped now, I just don't care. You gave up when AI came out, getting into a trade now? Interesting. What trade have you gone into? Young Jedi Adventures, I work for the Anime Industry. Oh, that's very cool. Generalist environment artists. Yes, usually. I think my only issue with that is everyone's like, oh, give up on CG, become a plumber. But then what are we going to do when everyone's a plumber? There'll be an overabundance of plumbers. It's just like, I'm not thinking too much about that sort of stuff, I guess. But nah, I'm not really following what all the new crazy tech is. I'm just enjoying what I do. Fabrication, very cool. I mean, if all hell goes loose, I'll maybe go into cooking or something. I'm very big on cooking. Just do what makes you happy? I think so. I think that's the key. Houdini's the main program for simulations? 100%. Yeah, I don't think it's even like a question at all anymore. How long have I been streaming for, actually? But yeah, I worked on some pretty cool stuff. Pirates of the Caribbean, I worked on this ship here. Some Star Wars stuff, I worked on this. I built most of the modular environments used to build the hangar. So yeah, okay, here. This is when I worked with Generalists. So I built modular environments for the Generalists. The Generalists were the ones that placed all the environments out. They did like matte painting on top. They did extra texture work, all that sort of stuff. You want to become a generalist? What skills and software do you prefer to become one? I mean, I'm personally not a generalist, so I don't know if how much weight my words have. But generalists don't just do model texture. Generalists also do things like matte painting. They do projections. They do a lot of other things as well. Procedural modeling. They do a lot more than just model texture. But if you want to do modeling and texturing, maybe consider games, because games is where you usually do both. In film, the deadlines are too short. What is my next goal as an artist? I don't know, learn to texture, I guess. Yeah, I don't care about AI games. I don't think a lot of people care about AI games either. Yep, I'm gonna refill my water. I'll be back in a sec. Oh yeah, I was also gonna mention. So this time, I'm gonna do on Thursday. I'm gonna do another stream, but I'm gonna have my friend joining me, and we're gonna have a chat. So this guy, his name is John Katapia. He is the creature supervisor at DNEG, and he was the lead modeler on both dunes for the worm. So he's going to come on to the stream on Thursday, and we're going to have a chat. So if you have questions about creature stuff that I obviously can't answer, or you have other random questions for John, don't forget to tune in, or you can let me know, and I can ask John the questions. Yo, Arkham Shinobi, how's it going, man? It's been a while. Yeah, John's a super cool guy, and he's got a very good radio voice, super deep. But yeah, he's a cool dude. So let me catch up on some of the messages. Hope he's prepared to get some tons of game art related questions. Yeah, probably. Nah, John's very good though. Model looks really good so far. A lot of generalists seem to be picking up Houdini, but you need to know a little bit of comp and texture as well. Lighting, yeah. Generalists in film are essentially the people that work outside of the pipeline to resolve the problems. So generalists can do an entire shot themselves. The comp, the lighting, everything. Have you reviewed someone's photo from the anime industry? I've been thinking of sending mine, but I don't know if it would be reasonable. Honestly, I mean, you can send your folio anyway, but yeah, most. It's funny. I have like 20 portfolios. I have like 20 portfolios in the list, but none of them are from VFX. So it's just like you didn't really read the prompt about hard surface for VFX. But yeah, send your follow anyway. Why not? It's just my main thing is I don't like talking about things I don't feel comfortable. Let me how do I say this? I don't like talking about things if I don't feel like I'm skilled enough to talk about it. Like I don't like people that people that talk about animation that aren't animators, things like that, for example. So I don't like really commenting on things that aren't what I do. Okay, cool. Yeah, sure. How do you know how high res your film models have to be? Based on shot context. Do you get the scripts or films? We get previs. So previs is like a really basic animatic of how the thing is used. And then from then, what we might do is we might make a camera, an animated camera that essentially goes through all the close-ups. Like we have our standard default turntables, we all know that. But then we might have a close-up still cam, which shows like, okay, we know we see it from this angle. We know we see it from this angle. We know we see it here from this angle. And we set up all these cameras and then they review the work through those specific cameras so they know that the model will hold up when needed. And then like usual, the director changes their mind and adds a new camera here and we have to update it later. But that's just how it is. Oh wow, I never finished this panel. Fuck, that's funny. Didn't even notice this was not. Whoops. I don't know how I never noticed that. But yeah, we get previs. Previs or storyboarding, or storyboards, essentially. But yeah, we don't, I mean, it depends. If it's a hero asset, we usually just assume we're going to see it anyway. Corridor reacts. The industry doesn't have the best view on Corridor Digital. Yeah, been a hot minute, so got caught in an ad. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just asking how you been, man. This is looking pretty sick. Yeah, thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, the plane is too high res, so I had to break it up into separate files now. So we got the cockpit, and then we have like landing gear, which is obviously not here, and then all the weapons under here. But yeah, I was in Virginia over the break, and I went to the Smithsonian, the Aerospace Museum. So fucking cool. Like seeing real planes like hundreds of real planes was so cool. Corridor reacts, heavy breathing. I think the industry's main issue with the corridor reacts is they speak as an authority when they've never been in the industry. So like they'll watch they'll watch VFX and they'll say this is how this shot is done, and a lot of the time they're wrong. I think that's the main issue. How much polygons? Where's the museum? Let me find it. It's this one. The Stephen F. Udvar Hazy Center, or whatever. I don't know. I totally butchered that. But this place is cool as fuck. Like they got the blackbird and everything in there. But yeah, this place is huge. But yeah, blackbird is so sick. The blackbird was actually smaller than I thought it would be, honestly. Still looking for work? Yeah, unfortunately, industry still is slow. Hopefully something comes for you soon. But yeah, like this is why I'm so like adamant on like if you need to do a portfolio piece or something, go to a museum. You have so much reference. There is so much cool shit out there that you can just build. Any of this is so cool. Am I switching studio? Me or Arkham Shinobi? Oh no, I'm chilling at Dinog. Have I had a chance to check out the NASA museum? I have not, but in saying that, the space shuttle is there. This thing is fucking huge. This thing is a monster. I had no idea the space shuttle was so massive. But yeah, they got everything over there. It's so cool. But yeah, they even had the Enola Gray. No, the Enola Gay, which dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. It's crazy. But yeah, this thing is huge. I was shocked when I saw this. Just how massive this thing is. The original, yeah. They're all the original planes. I mean, yeah, like the space shuttle was the original as well. There's not like none of the stuff is replicas. It's all obviously the real planes themselves. Yeah, but Arkham, are you streaming anymore? The Concorde? Yeah, the Concorde was super cool to see. Concorde is massive. It's a shame the Concorde didn't continue. Oh shit. Like the game? No, I hope that game was so lame. You're planning to pop back soon? That's cool. Oh god. Trying to figure out timing wise? Yeah, that's fair. Did you have any leads from Lightbox or anything? Oh yeah, so everyone, I went to Lightbox with Arkham Shinobi. Like, I guess I should probably just say that. Oh, what is this? Yeah, that's fair. I imagine, oh god. I imagine there's a lot of people unfortunately looking for work. Lightbox hype? Yeah, Lightbox was fun. I enjoyed that. I mostly just went to chill and meet people, so I had a good time. Oh god, why do that? What is Lightbox? It is a design convention. It's not a 3D or CG one, but there's some cool people there. Like I mostly go to socialize and hang out with concept artists and stuff like that. Like I caught up with Jama Jirabayev when I was there. It was cool to meet him in person finally. But yeah, it's not somewhere I think VFX artists need to go at all. Not really much value for us, I guess. But since I'm friends with the concept people, it makes more sense for me to go. Yo, how's it going? Yeah, Rat Lord raided earlier. Forgot the name of the book I recommended. Oh, the Flavor Bible. I think that's the one you're referring to, right? Maybe you should give up and take on hard surface? No, don't say that. We don't have cool, interesting body parts in hard surface. Oh, what are we making? We are building a cockpit. And the cockpit goes into this plane. Sound like rat laws coming from my job? Yeah, I know, right? I should look out. Cheers. Yeah, all the file was getting too heavy, so I've essentially broken it down so I can focus on finishing the individual elements. So at the moment we're just wrapping up the cockpit, so that can be combined. I'm curious, have you seen the Dune in 24 hours? Sure. Dune in 24 hour Unreal thing, it's, what do you think about the final result? I don't know. I'm sure it'll look incredibly procedural. I don't really like those sorts of videos. But, you know, it's, you know, it gets views on YouTube, so more power to them, of course, for sure. Dynamic kit bashing? Yeah, this is probably 80% kit bash. Even this whole thing here, this is the top of like a small kit bash component. Essentially this whole thing up here, this is all kit bash. I modeled this and these. The main body of the C is modeled, but all the details are kit bashed. This is modeled. Most of this is kit bash aside from the main body. All of this, everything here is all kit bash. But yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. If they're trying to like show up the creators, like when Corridor Digital tried to show up the, you know how we did Luke Skywalker better, that stuff I think can be really insulting to the artists that worked on the show. If they're doing it in 24 hours for the fun of it, I don't think it's as bad, for sure. Can I explain what density and topology is? This is density. These are just different densities. All density is just how close the polygons are together, or how many polygons are in a certain area. That's all density is. What is this? Oh. Unfortunately, what I learned doing something like this myself, people perceive a video like this incorrectly and use it in bad faith. Yeah, but I think, yeah, that's kind of my immediate assumption, is like a lot of people can also kind of jump to the thing of like, wow, you did this in 24 hours. Why do movies cost so much money? It's like that sort of stuff can be a real kick in the face for the people that actually work on the movies, because, you know, like we spent all the time doing the dev work to make it look like this, and to be like, that stuff can be annoying for sure. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. Yeah, like people have no idea like how it is to work in a large studio environment where lots of decisions have to be made with lots of different people, right? Trying to make all the pieces, I think, but also like, say for example, I think kit bashing is very hard. Like the fact that most people can't tell that this is entirely kit bashed, I think if you're just looking at a blank canvas, it's way harder to just make pieces that aren't made to be together and make them fit together. How will I UV that part? Which part? This thing? I mean, I think it's already mostly UV'd. Yeah, it's all kit bash from other pieces, so it's already UV'd. Job done. That's the power of kit bash. I don't have to do anything. I'll just unfold it a bit just in case. Oh no, I don't have to actually. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, job done. Don't need to do anything. Yeah, kit bashing I think is an important art that modelers need to learn, because it makes your life so much faster and easier. Like say for example, this piece here, we just needed something in the glass to catch light. And there's no point of modeling anything in there when I can just throw some objects in there in 2 minutes and it's good enough. What is the exercise you suggest, intermediate hard surface modeler? That's a very open question. Depends what you want to do. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to learn? That could be anything. You have to bug me more about it one day, for sure. No worries. Oh shit. Whatever. I guess this is now B. Being a hard surface artist, do you do armor and stuff? Yep. Yeah, I'll do armor and stuff like that. I mean, I don't get armor that often, but I can for sure. I usually get like things like robots and vehicles and stuff like that. But if I had to do armor, I'd have no issue doing armor either. It's all just a bunch of polygons at the end of the day. What do you have the most fun doing? Spaceships, always. Always have fun doing spaceships. Like doing ornithopters and stuff like that, and couldn't ask for more. Just download Maya because of you. Uh-oh. Any suggestions for learning from the start? I know Blender and concepts for modeling. Topology, just don't know how to use Maya. I haven't learned Maya for 15 years, so I wouldn't know where to start with Maya, but I'm sure there must be some form of tutorials online, especially if you just need to learn the buttons, right? Does anyone know any good intro to Maya tutorials? Maybe someone in the chat has any ideas. You wonder what Maz is doing? Maz is still at ILM. He's still there. He's still doing his thing. You like J stuff? Don't know how intro it is? Yeah, I don't know how intro his stuff is either, though, honestly. Do you prefer the more human mechanical stuff or more alien smooth weird? I like both. I do prefer, like, if I was to pick a favorite aesthetic, I would probably pick Avatar. But I do like the weird alien stuff as well. Because like using creasing and stuff, you can do really cool, crazy, weird shapes very easily. Like you can bend stuff around and then do weird, crazy stuff very, very easily. Like weird bulby shapes and stuff like that. And then if you like crease stuff in the middle, you can do stuff like this, and then, I don't know, pull more shapes around like this. You can just do anything, well, not anything, but you know. I'm not saying this is trying to be a spaceship or something. I'm just pulling shapes around. But you can pull forms around very quickly and easily using creasing that have very extreme forms like this, right? It depends on your goals and I think they're just trying to learn the basics of the program. I don't think they're trying to learn anything specific, just how to use Maya as a whole. Bend the polygons to my will, yeah. Taco Bell or Moe's? I've had neither of them. I live in Vancouver. I have had neither of those. Yeah, like so the original aircraft was built that way as well. If I go open the original blocking model for the aircraft, it's essentially the same thing. Yeah, a very low poly sausage. This is what the original was. Holy shit. it's jumped a bit. A little bit. There's a few more polygons here and there. But yeah, I've creased the forms and pulled off shapes around. That's how I get all these curves and stuff. Now it's game ready. Fucking hell. But yeah. How do you keep all the quads almost the same size? It's just thinking ahead and planning ahead and being organized, really. Realizing like when I subdivide up, it'll be this dense. Things like that. It's more about just planning ahead and being organized. Crease tool is nice, just have a hard time exploring them. Oh yeah, so I don't use creasing as the final result. I, pull my weird shapes around and get what I need and do this, and then just subdivide up this, and then now this is my new base mesh, and then I replace this with standard triple edging. What a lovely piece of geometry. Well, this edge is so fucked up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is my final topology. Oh, you're out? I was gonna wrap up stream now as well. What time is it? Yeah, I'm probably gonna wrap the stream up now as well. Just practicing. But yeah, don't forget to on Thursday I'm going to stream on the same time, and John, the creature supervisor at DNEG, is going to pop into the stream, and we're going to have a chat, and we're going to talk about creatures and organic stuff. So if you have questions for John, feel free to jump into the stream and we will have a nice little conversation. But yeah, don't forget to tune in. Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. I greatly appreciate it. We had some nice conversations. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. So yeah, bring your questions for John. And thanks again, Bat Lord, for the stream. I mean the raid. I will catch you all later. Bye.